Hey guys, welcome back. This is the Bitcoin market review for November the 7th, 2022. And as usual, before we get into the price action, we look at the economic calendar. And we can see yesterday there were no high impact news events or anything, so we can focus solely on price action. And yeah, yesterday was not the cleanest price action, but according to ICT, this is to be expected, as we have the US election this week and it's also daylight saving time, and ICT said we can expect price to not be too accurate during this week due to first the election and second daylight savings time. So yeah, I can say I've seen it in the price action. It was not too clean yesterday, but nevertheless there have been some setups, not a lot, but some, and I'm gonna show you these setups right now. But before I get into setups, just quickly I want to touch on what price did yesterday. So basically it dropped down to take out the lows of the consolidation from last week, and it refilled or rebalanced some imbalances right here. On this up move right here, there have been some fair value gaps left behind, which price reached into on the drop yesterday evening, or into the night pretty much. So like after 9:30 p.m. all the way to just past midnight, price dropped down into these. So yeah, with that said, let's get into the setups. And the first setup is around the 2 a.m. mark. More specifically, let me zoom in. It's right here at like 1:50 a.m. that is. So if we now draw out the fair value gap, which is in here, actually I have to redraw it so we don't have the text inside. And now also use the fib tool. Perfect. So we can see price took out some highs right here and then it reversed and started to push lower, and on this quick push down it broke this low right here, like so, broke that low. So with a shift in market structure, we have a downtrend, so we expect price to go further down to attack this low and the fair value gap, which is below these two lows right here. So that would be the closest target. And we can see price then pushes back up, reprices the fair value gap, touches the up close candle, which is the order block, like stays here for a while, touches the order block here once more, and then it starts to push lower, and it drops lower to take out this low. And if I am correct, let's go to a higher time frame. Yes, it takes out this low and it attacks some lows over here, like this one right here with a fair value gap over here. So yeah, just a quick setup on the 1 minute, taking out these lows and that low eventually. Like it really reprices lower right here, and it even continues lower a little bit more. But yeah, quick setup on the 1 minute. And this is the only setup in the early morning, and the next setup is all the way over here at 8 a.m. right here. And you can see price starts to consolidate a bit here, like after the drop in the early morning. Price pushes up a little bit, consolidates here, and then here we have one swift down move. Right here we have down, then price moves up again and continues down lower, breaking this low, which means with a shift in market structure there is quite a big fair value gap present as well. And if we use the fib tool as well, we can see price pushes back up to reprice the fair value gap, goes into a premium, interacts with this up close candle, which is the order block. It stays here for 3 candles and then it continues down lower to attack this low, this fair value gap right here, and to attack this low right here. So that's just a nice and quick setup on the 1 minute at 8:15 in the morning. And this was the last setup in the morning. So yeah, as I said, not the cleanest price action, which means there were not that many setups. So if we go into 5 minute, we can see we had a setup right here at like 1:50 AM, with which we caught this down drop right here, and then the other setup was right here at like 8:15, with which caught this down move right here, and you could have held on to eventually take out this low and this low right here, and move like maybe there's a value gap on a lower time frame right here. But then price consolidates here, pushes up once more to reprice these imbalances right here, and then it rolls over after like 3 PM. And in this move down we have a setup on the 1 minute again. It's just after 4 PM, and it's quite a nice setup. So you can see we have like price pushing up, consolidating a bit, pushing up once more, and then it starts to drop down. Like this right here would be a nice setup, but we do not have a market structure break or a shift in market structure, so no low is broken. But nevertheless, we would have we would have all the ingredients we need, except a confirmed reversal. But I'm just draw it out like this, and you can look at it yourself if you deem this a good setup or not. I have not journaled it, but I'm gonna just show it to you so you can decide for yourself if you want to journal it or not. Okay, then price continues down lower. Right here there is another showable setup. Like it's a setup I want to show to you, but I'm not gonna journal it, as we have like a consolidation which takes out the lows right here and this high right here, so you could have been forced out of the position very quickly, but still not the worst setup. And then eventually we have a good setup right here with a nice fair value gap. We can use the fib tool from the high to the low. We could also use these lows over here actually, because we can see price drops down, comes back up, reprices the fair value gap, touches the up close candle, which is the order block. Then yes, it moves down once here and comes back up into the fair value gap, into the premium, touching the order block once more, before finally really rolling over and dropping down. And then this down drop continues for quite some time, as we can see on a higher time frame. Price drops down, takes out the morning lows, comes back up a bit, which actually this is a setup on a higher time frame. Like stay on the 5 minute and we can draw everything out. Big fair value gap right here. You can see price first drops down to take out the morning lows, comes back up, consolidates in a premium right here, reprices all the imbalances from this drop down, interacts with first this up close candle, but then eventually pushes through and interacts with this up close candle, which is the order block. And then price rolls over and continues to drop down all the way into the close of the day. So that's a nice setup right here, and I'm gonna leave that on the chart right now, what we've drawn out, and I drop to the 1 minute chart, as we have a setup inside of the setup on the 1 minute. It's another one of those cases where we have a setup on a higher time frame, and then the 1 minute chart gives you a setup right at the end of the higher setup. So right here, when price starts to drop, we have a setup on the 1 minute, and you can see it right here from the high to the low. I'm actually gonna delete the value gap on the 5 minute chart right now, as otherwise we would not see the value gap on the 1 minute. And you can see price here drops down. We break this low, so we have a shift in market structure. Price comes back up into a premium to fully reprice this fair value gap, pushes even up to touch this up close candle, which is the order block, prior to then repricing down aggressively. Like quite a quick repricing downwards. And yeah, we even have another setup right here, like after this first down leg, which breaks this low and this low, but has not yet broken this low. We can see price comes back up right here to reprice a big imbalance. Sorry about that. You can see, actually now let's delete the upper or the higher time frame setup, the higher time frame fib. We can see price comes back up to reprice the fair value gap, touches the order block, which both happens quite in a deep premium, and then price continues down lower and lower and lower. And we actually have another setup right here. So we have a lot of consecutive setups. So now we go from this high to this low. Actually, I've just seen we can refine it. There is another low right here, or another high, sorry. And we have a nice fair value gap right here. Price comes back up into the fair value gap, doesn't go all the way up to the order block, which is expected, as it's quite some distance, you know, and price is repricing downwards quite heavily. So it comes back up into the fair value gap, which is in a premium, and then it starts to drop lower. And I believe this is even a setup on a higher time frame. Yes, this setup also is valid on the 5 minute. It's just not as refined as on the 1 minute. We can take a lower high, and on the 5 minute we would need to take this swing high right here. But still, you can see price pushes back up into a fair value gap. On the 5 minute is just a little higher up, but still price pushes up into a premium, into the fair value gap, prior to then continuing down lower. So yeah, that has been all the setups from yesterday. As I said before, not the cleanest price action, but this is due to the US elections this week and daylight saving time. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed the setups. I hope you agree with the setups. As I said, today, this week's price action is not the cleanest, so don't expect it to be too clean. Be aware of that. Be careful. We have US elections today on November the 8th, so be very careful about that. Price usually is not that clean, so just be careful with that. And yeah, overall, be aware that the price action this week might not be the cleanest. And with that said, I hope you have a nice day. I hope I see you again, and yeah, I hope you're well. Bye.